You're right, GangGreenUK. You're joining us for episode 46, and we're talking about day two of the combine ahead of time. I'm joined by Kane.
Hello.
Come along. Just the two of us tonight. And yeah, we're going to be talking about day two, Kane, at the combine next week. And it's going to be running backs and the O line.
Yep.
How are you feeling about the O line and the running back situation going into the combine?
Running back, I think, is a bit thin this year, but O line's quite deep, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good to see this when they hit the field because there's so many players that really need to have a good combine because they weren't in the senior bowl or they didn't play in their bowl games. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, shall we start with running backs first?
Yeah, we can do. How do you want to do it?
Because there's only two of us this week, we can do our joint decision on who we pick.
Yeah, cool. Should we start with Breece Hall then from Iowa State?
Sounds good.
Obviously, junior, he's 6'1" and 220 pounds. So that's a nice size for running back now.
Yeah.
If anything, he might be a little bit tall. Which, never thought I would go into that. Now, obviously, we watched a little bit of Iowa State this year, just keeping an eye on a few other players as well. He played 12 games, which I think is all of their games. He had 251 attempts for 1,460 yards, average of about 5.8. He had 20 TDs, but they also used him in the receiving game as well. So he received 37 of 41, which not bad. And he got 310 yards on that, which I think that's pretty good, that. 37, so he's probably looking at about 7.2 yards per carry there.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah. What do you think of Breece Hall overall?
Oh, I wouldn't mind having him. I mean, I kind of want a replacement for Ty Johnson, so big-bodied kind of thing in a way. Pass catching running back. Wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing about Breece Hall. He does seem to be able to break tackles.
Yeah.
I think this season he set a record for I don't know whether it was his personal record or a team record, but it was 10 broken tackles plus in 3 games in a row, which is pretty good considering he is playing against pretty decent opposition. He's not in a nobody league. But yeah, he's got 194 broken tackles in 3 years at college.
Yes.
I don't think we have that many in our whole team for the last 10 years.
I mean, Michael Carter was good at breaking tackles, but if you had him as well, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, Breece Hall, I think most people have him down as running back 1. Or between the next person we're going to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna he would have to be a 2nd round pick for me.
Yeah.
We're not going to take him in the first 2 picks.
No.
But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did take him that early point.
Be interesting.
So if we don't take him, where would you see him going? Which team do you think would really suit his style?
Put me on the spot. I mean, with what's happened with Kamara, Saints.
Yeah, that could be a good shout. That, I mean, I do you know who I really like for it? Houston. Right. I just think that's a really nice kind of let's suck it and see.
New quarterback as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty fair little chat on Brees Hall. I mean, I like it. His name fits with the team as well. But then the next player that we'd move on to would be Kenneth Walker III.
So yeah, Kenneth Walker, Michigan State. He's 5'10", 210 pounds. Last year he had 263 attempts for 1,636 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6.2 average per run.
That's quite a lot of attempts in a year.
Yeah, it's a lot of yards as well.
It is. I mean, he was there pretty much whole offense, really, though, wasn't he? So, I mean, he was also used in the receiving game with 16 targets, and he brought in 13 and got 90 yards.
I think he got one touchdown as well on the catches.
Nice. I mean, Kenneth Walker's one of them for me. He was nobody at the beginning of this college season. I think you've watched more of him than I have.
Yeah, it's come out of the blue kind of thing.
Yeah. So what would you say to people who haven't seen him?
I think he'll be the first running back picked in the draft, just for how good of a year he had. He's not the best at catching or pass blocking, but running solid. Not as big as other running backs, but still solid caliber running back one in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
very good luck.
He like you say, he came out of a bit of nowhere, didn't he? But I think when somebody comes out of nowhere and then wins the Doak Walker Award, which is #1 running back in the country, and then also wins the Walter Camp Award, which is the best player in college football. That's voted for by coaches and some other officials, I think, from the NCAA. He has stood up and made himself be known.
Yeah, it's made a statement. Yeah, but it's still mocked to be in the second round, which is a bit mad.
I think that's just the world of the running back. I mean, you mentioned it with Kamara, but then if we've said this a few times, if you look at it, Kamara, Barkley, Zeke, they've all kind of proven why you don't really need that elite running back when you look at the cases of San Fran, who draft like relative unknowns and seem to get stuff happening. I don't know. With Kenneth Walker, I mean, what I've seen of him, he looks really good. But this lacking of the pass block writes off a few teams. So I think any team that doesn't have a great O-line kind of need to go, you're a good player, but you're not quite for us. Because you can't risk it. I mean, I wouldn't want him going to Cincinnati. Obviously, I don't think he would, but I mean, he's definitely going to be available at that time.
I mean, they might be able to coach out of him. Might be able to coach him.
Oh no, I've got no doubt he's probably a very coachable person. I mean, you don't get yards like that and not be able to follow coaching.
Yeah.
But my fear is that it's a big change, and if he's already not great at it, he's only got an off season to get okay at it. Because if not, somebody's going to die.
Maybe he needs to bulk up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, what did you say it was 210?
Yeah,
which is, it's not horrendous.
No.
I mean, he seems to have some good games under it. He's I mean, he does have some standout games when you think about it. I mean, I know when he played Michigan, which really hurts me to say, because obviously they beat Michigan this year. Like, he had nearly 200 yards in that one game.
I can't remember which game it was, but he had a 94-yard run as well. That was just, he was gone. It was beautiful.
I mean, there's not very many games where he wasn't very impactful, other than OSU, when he played Ohio, he only had 6 attempts and he only got 25 yards. But yeah, I mean, he played some other big teams and absolutely dominated. He destroyed Rutgers, bless them. I mean, they didn't know what had hit them. So yeah, I think as running back score, he is probably up there with Hall on the attractive side for me. But neither one of them, I don't think I would be upset if we didn't take.
Yeah, okay.
But I think they're going to be very, very tasty choices for a few teams.
Yep.
I think, yeah, I wouldn't like to say where I think they're going to go because we're getting into too many ifs and buts.
Mm.
So who's the third running back that we're going to talk about? Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M Aggies. So when we're talking Isaiah Spiller, I know both of us have slightly different sizes on him.
Yep.
I've got 6'1" and 215.
I've got 6'1", 225.
So we'll say somewhere between, we'll give him 220 and see what he comes in at the combine. Now, I've just said to you off camera that Isaiah Spiller is probably my favourite running back in this class, only because he's probably sitting in the late second, early third, if we're being real. Probably maybe even mid-third. I know some rankings have him as like number 6, number 7 running back. But this year he had 179 attempts for just over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns.
That's nice.
What are your thoughts on him?
I think physicality is the most physical running back, and that probably suits us the most, being as we haven't got like a physical running back, third down back kind of thing. He split the backfield, split the snaps, so maybe he would have got more yardage if he didn't do that. But yeah, it looks like a solid running back.
Yeah, Devin Arcane, I think he had like almost the amount of attempts, but equal yardage nearly. So I think the big thing with Isaiah for me is he's steadily improving year on year. Like the yards and things might be going down, but he's doing it on like more. This year you could see he split it because it dropped down a little bit, but he also got nearly 200 yards in receptions.
I think he was underutilized there as well.
Yeah, and 174 yards, 10 broken tackles on 27 carries against Florida. I mean, don't get me wrong, Florida didn't have the best year in the world. But this kid, every single game this year, has had multiple broken tackles. So he is getting through that first man. It's that physicality that we've been saying that we wanted. But it's one of them where do you take the risk if you're going to do it? But
if he's there in the third, it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's talk that he could fall to the fourth.
Really?
Like, if he falls to the fourth, that's a steal.
I know. I'd trade up to get him at the start of the fourth.
Like, you've got to think, before the bowl game, right, I'd him ranked at RB3.
Yep.
Which is probably mid-second round, really. Possibly third.
Yeah.
But, yeah, everything about him fits what we've seen that we're wanting. Obviously, doesn't necessarily mean anything because the team could go totally elsewhere. We're not that good at it. None of us are. We're all armchair scouts anyway. But yeah, for me, Isaiah Spiller would be the one that I would want the Jets to go for. So yeah, do we do another running back or should we move on to O-line? Because obviously there's a lot more O-line for us to have a chat about.
Yeah, I'd say move on to O-line.
Yeah, so when we're talking O-line, should we, like, when they go to the combine, they compete under O-line. There's not guards, tackles, and centers.
Let's go Tyler Linderbaum first then, because he's that one we've been linked to. Everyone wants him. So
So
yeah, Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa center. Is a junior, 6'3", 289 pounds.
like I think probably from October till January, I was all in. And to be fair, I probably still am all in. I think, well, it's not just me. I think he is down as the best central prospect probably in the last decade.
Yep.
He played 14 games this year with 908 total snaps, split about 50-50 on run and pass block. He only allowed 1 sack, 2 hits and 4 hurries, and he won the award for the best centre in college football. I think it's one of them when we're talking about Tyler Linderbaum. It's very hard for anybody to judge a centre. But we're talking that this guy could be the best centre in a decade. And we all remember how good it was when we had Nick. And even my way before him, like a centre can solid everything up so bad.
Yep. It's the centerpiece.
When you look at it, you would have to take Tyler Linderbaum at 10.
Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't be angry.
Mm.
I mean, it would definitely be a bold move. I think some fans would set fire to everything.
Yeah.
But obviously Iowa games, like Iowa State, Iowa Hawkeyes, we did watch both quite a bit because they're on a lot. What do you think of him overall?
He's a little undersized, but you can't really tell because of his game. Like, he's quite fast, which obviously comes from being undersized. Could work on his hands sometimes, but that's probably just because the technicality of the position, and he hasn't really done much to him considering he's got such a high grade on the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think his overall grade was about a 95.4, and the hand side of it and the movement, he was a high school wrestler.
Yeah.
I think he had a record of 50-10, so 50 wins and 10 losses. He's another player that's just trending upwards.
Yeah.
Nothing has kind of dropped him down, but he's an all-round athlete, like baseball, shot put, wrestling, football. I mean, he is the kind of guy that you just, when you're at school, you just look at him and thought, dick. But apparently he's got a very, very strong academic background as well, which is what you need at centre for me. You need to have the intelligence to be able to read the game. He could be one that really excels at the combine in interviews and on the Wonderlust.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what his 40 is.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying he's fast, and 290 is a bit light for a centre.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the only centre really that I've looked at in this draft, if I'm being honest. There's a couple of players who've lined up there, but I think Linderbaum's probably the best one for us to talk about because he is available probably at our picks.
Yeah.
But would it be a reach? I mean, any team who get him automatically become better at that position.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many teams that have got a player as young as him. So he's only 22.
It's young.
I mean, there's a lot of arguments for him. The other arguments are, well, at centre through the second half of the season, we weren't that bad.
Yep.
It's not a glaring need, but then if we have two good snaps this year, it'll have been a glaring need, and we should have went for him.
Yep.
But I mean, it was a good one to start on.
Yeah.
Definitely for O-line. Where do you want to go next? I mean, I've got people I want to go with, but I'm going to say, where do you want to go next? Do you want to stay on the interior, or do you want to go outside to tackle?
I'll say Charles Cross.
Charles Cross, the tackle from Mississippi State. He's a sophomore, 6'5" and 310 pounds.
Yeah, I really like Charles Cross, to be honest. He's took all his snaps at left tackle, and it's his first year starting this year as a starter. He's very violent for an O-lineman, and he'll just maul people to the ground, basically. He bulked up within 2 years, but could maybe put on 10 more pounds just to be like the ideal weight kind of thing. And he struggles against speed rushers a lot, and when they seem to get past him, it's hard for him to recover. But other than that, he's a bit of a beast.
Yeah, I mean, he took a decent amount of snaps this year. 919 offensive snaps.
Yeah.
And 719 pass blocks. And 200 of them were obviously run block.
Yeah.
He allowed 2 sacks all season, which is not a bad conversion.
Yeah.
No hits. It was just a sack or nothing. And he got 14 hurries against him. One notable thing for me is that he didn't allow a single pressure in 66 pass blocks against Alabama, who Alabama off the edge this year were pretty savage. Well, they're always pretty savage, aren't they?
Yeah, with what's his name? I can't remember his name, that guy. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great play to talk about.
Yeah.
Again, it's another one that I don't foresee us taking, given the fact that he is very much left tackle. But he's going to be very, very good in the league, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, came out of high school as the #1 prospect in Mississippi. He stayed at Mississippi State. He's coming out into the NFL, probably ranked maybe top 3 tackles in the country.
Yeah, apparently first round. So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams looking for a left tackle. I mean, if he falls to the end, it would be absolutely unbelievable for Joe Burrow to get him.
Yeah, true.
And that could be setting him off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more else to say. Like, it's very, very difficult to talk about O-line, just because the stats aren't glamorous. It's not a glory role. And let's face it, if you're talking about it, it's normally because they've done something wrong. But kind of to put this one in perspective, last June, Charles Cross was predicted to be drafted around about the 60th pick.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of weeks, he's predicted to go top 10.
Yep. And the combine's only going to make him rise more.
Or fall.
Yep.
So we'll stick to the tackles. And I think the one that we all have to talk about is that one, like, we get called a lot because he's always seems to be there at 4 in mock drafts. And it's Evan Neal, the offensive tackle from Alabama, who's a junior. And I think he's around about 6'7". And he is 350 pounds, which is a nice size for a tackle.
Yeah.
So what do you think of him? Obviously, like, his numbers scream he's a big man.
Yep, he is. bit of a monster, and he's got long arms as well. Just makes it even more crazy, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is that thing all over again. Like he this season, he's played predominantly left tackle.
Yep.
Now we've got George Fant, who had an unbelievable year left tackle, with Mekhi Becton, who was left tackle. But you cannot take away from the fact that he played 1,073 offensive snaps, 650 of them in pass block, 423 in run block, and only allowed 2 sacks, 5 hits, and 8 hurries. I mean, everything about this guy screams he's going to be elite.
Yeah. Definitely top 10.
Yeah. What do you think about his game? Like, what have you seen when you've watched him play? Because I avoided Alabama a lot.
Yeah. Just consistent, really. He's like athletic for how big he is. I know he's played left tackle and he's played guard as well, so he's got that versatility of it.
Yeah, so that was the thing, wasn't it? Like when we put him into mocks, people go, "Oh, we don't need a left tackle." So he's actually played in all positions on the line, albeit he only played right guard once for one snap, but he played it. But his right tackle time was last season, 2020. And he had 765 snaps at tackle. He had a couple of other lineups as well, but he left 2 sacks, 1 hit, and 6 hurries. So technically had a better season at right tackle than he did in guard. I think he would. Yes, I think you said he had an accolade while he played at guard. Was it all sec or something?
All sec, yeah.
Yeah. So
freshman All-American.
That one kind of makes me feel a little bit better. And he started his Alabama career at left guard.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh, this guy has played nearly 800 snaps at college in all 3 like key positions, apart from right guard, which is the one that we need the most. But he has got the versatility. I don't know, there's something about Evan Neal. I kind of think, can you imagine that line with Becton, Fant, Neal?
Yep.
Brick wall. Big man, big boots, doing big man things. Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very kind of, for me, it's a luxurious pick. You don't really get a chance to pick players like this all the time.
Yep.
But it's that one, isn't it? Like, do we do it? Do we not?
If he's there, like, the Jags might take him. I mean,
it's best player available. If he's on the board, he will be the best player available.
Yep.
It'd be very, very hard to argue against him. I think from there, we'll move inside, because that's where it gets a little bit tasty for me. So we've done centre, we've done tackles. There is a couple of other tackles to talk about, but what we'll do is we'll move to the inside and just see how we feel then.
Yep.
So yeah, Kenyon Green, right? I'm just going to say O-line. From Texas A&M, junior, 6'4", 325 pounds, big man thing.
Yeah.
The reason that I've said O-line is we were a bit hyped on Evan Neal, weren't we? But Kenyon Green plays literally every position on the O-line.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of a scouting report and then we'll get into some nitty gritty on him.
So yeah, as I said, he started at every position. He even started at Senior Bowl this year. at centre just to show that he can, because he started every other position in games. So it's hard to give a report on him because he's just so good. Like, and there's hardly any faults in his game. Like, I think he's got 1 sack all season. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, when you're giving up 1 sack, lining up at a different position every game, or like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, so his numbers are pretty good. He played 12 games.
Yeah.
I think that's all but one, unless one got cancelled. I'm not sure.
I think the bowl game got cancelled, maybe.
Yeah, 737 snaps. Right, 404 were pass, 333 were run. 1 sack, 2 hits, 7 hurries. But when we do the breakdown, he played 142 of those snaps at right tackle, 106 at right guard, 81 at left tackle, and 408 at left guard. I mean, we can go back to 2019, so his first year. He only played right guard, and that's when he that freshman year he let 4 sacks, 7 hits, and 17 hurries, and they were kind of questioning. But they played 13 games, and it was his first year playing college football. He has gone from strength to strength, and like you said, that going at centre at the Senior Bowl was literally just to say, you know what, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's really athletic.
Yep.
And I feel like we're kind of doing what we think Joe Douglas is going to do, because we know he likes athletic, and so does Robert Saleh. But he's a big man, but the way he moves, you would think he was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
He could be a great swing tackle or a swing guard for anybody, really. Where, like, yeah, I feel like probably we haven't given him the cred that he actually deserves. I didn't realize the split was that long. I just thought he played a few.
Yeah. It's a little Swiss Army knife, and like, we know Salah and Joe like players that can line up at multiple positions and are versatile. So
Yeah,
if you want that O-line fixed and you need someone at every hole, then
it's one of them as well. Going into the combine, Kenyon Green's stock is a lot lower than what it has been. And I think most have him now going around about 24, 25, late first round. He was tipped like 12, 13 at one point. Yeah, this kid could do something a bit cheeky in the combine, because the whole O-line go out together. Well, it suits him because he plays every position anyway.
Yep.
I kind of want to go to another senior, if that's okay. In Daniel Vale. I bet you can't guess why I want to go to him. So give us his measurables, Kane.
6'8" height, and he's 387 pounds. So he's a big guy, and he's Amp's favourite big guy.
He's not just a big guy; he's a massive guy. I mean, like, he will stand next to Mekhi Becton and make Mekhi Becton look average height.
I remember that stat, and it was like the college Minnesota team's line was heavier than the Vikings line.
Yeah, I mean, he is a big man, but he is Australian, and he's only got 2 years of football, I think, at college, and like his high school style, like, I don't think he only had like a year there as well, so he's quite raw. He got 13 games this year and 11 in 2019, but 2020, I do believe he was actually stuck in Australia because of COVID. So yeah, like, his 13 games, he had 837 offensive snaps, 500 at run blocking, 300 at pass blocking. He allowed 1 sack, 2 hits, and 5 hurries. Everything about this guy is just big. His game's big. He just kind of like manhandles people, which you imagine. Now, a few people are saying that he won't transfer very well into the league because it's not just about pancaking.
Yeah.
But because of his background in other sports that he's played, he's very kind of like athletically tuned for the size that he is.
Okay.
He only allowed 1 pressure in the last 8 games of his career. 1 pressure. And he only allowed 1 pressure in 20 pass blocking snaps against Ohio this year, which is like insane numbers.
So where's he ranked pick-wise?
Where's he ranked over like in his position?
Round-wise.
Round, I think he is 2nd, maybe 3rd. On my mocks, he goes like mid to late 2nd, and I'm like, damn it, because I was going to take him in the 3rd. I've never managed to get him at a valuable pick. I'd have to give some up for him. Now, he's only played right tackle. I thought he'd done a bit of right guard as well. But a lot of people do have him down as an interior as opposed to exterior. But because of the way the combine does it, it's just O-line. So they all do the same skill sets. It will be interesting to see how he scores in interviews on his football knowledge. Because let's face it, Minnesota don't run the most pro-ready offense. It is very run-heavy. I really like him. He seems to be a good locker room kind of guy, but he's massive. And I got on the Vale train when it was going to be Becton on one side, and I was like, stuff it, let's just put a bookend on, move everybody else inside, and we'd be set. Especially with AVT, because he's not exactly the smallest. But it's another player where if he goes to a team that already have a decent tackle, he's going to be an absolute awesome swing. I know you don't watch much Minnesota. I mean, Golden Gophers, man. So we could look again at the next player. Akeem, what was that?
The one everyone's picking in the mock drafts.
Yeah, Akawunu. I think that's how you say it. Akawunu. I mean, yeah, I'm okay saying it like that. He's not been in the news enough yet for me to jump on it. But yeah, like you said, he is getting really hyped. But yeah, I think just before we move on to him though, when we were talking about Kenyon Green, it wasn't him at the Senior Bowl, was it? It was
Zion
game where he lined up. But yeah, I mean, still, he's played every position.
We make mistakes.
We're not taking anything back. He was still pretty decent. So yeah, when we move on to Akeem.
So yeah, from North Carolina State, he is 6'4" and 320 pounds. What do you think about him, Ant?
Right. So this one's a funny one for me because 3 weeks ago, prior to the Senior Bowl, he was completely off everybody's radar pretty much. I mean, trend-wise, he was late first rounder, like a pretty decent tackle. And now he's predicted to go top 5.
Out of the blue.
Yeah, it's out of the blue. And if I'm being honest, he's only played left tackle. When he played a little bit of left guard, he had one of his worst statistically seasons going. Going off numbers alone, I don't understand why he's raising the ranks. I mean, he had 819 snaps this year in 12 games, allowed 3 sacks and 10 hurries, which when you look at the numbers that we've been talking about the others, he's on the higher side. But he hasn't been versatile anywhere this season. He seems to be, the issue is he's an elite run blocker, and he's apparently like yards and yards ahead of everybody else run blocking, but his pass blocking is terrible. So I think the reason he's getting hyped up to go to the Jets or the Giants is because essentially they are run first teams. So you play him when you're running, leave him in for a couple of throws, but ultimately you take him out. But it's another left tackle. I just don't see it.
I don't either. I don't
yeah, I mean, there's nothing really much on anything that I've got going that can kind of justify a top 10 pick on him.
I mean, they say he's like the most feared run backer in the ACC or something like that. But if he can't pass block, then why is he so high?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's done some he's had some really good games like Mississippi State, and he's had like 80 plus grade scores over like 6 games this year or something in a row. And you're like, fair play, that's all that. But for me, I don't know. I feel like there's still something. He's one of the players this combine I'm so excited to see if he's as good as what everybody else is telling me is, because the little bit of tape that I've seen is exactly that. He can run block, but his pass blocking is not great. But why is everybody saying left tackle for the Jets again? And we'd have 3 then.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we probably won't get them all on the field, but yeah. Akeem Akanwunu, he's probably going to be a great player. I kind of, if I'm being honest, I kind of hope he goes to the Giants.
Yeah, so.
Just because I just don't see why we would need him. I mean, other people might come on and totally disagree with us, which is why we do these videos anyway. I mean, we've went through there pretty much the players from Friday that we're quite excited to see. There's not much else. There's a couple of other players. I mean, anybody you want to give honourable mentions to that we're not going to go into, but...
No. Zion Johnson.
Yeah, the guy that swapped to centre at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, I mean... That's a great shout, Harry. Rashid Walker from Penn State, for me, good tackle. And running backs wise, no.
Damon Pierce, maybe. Florida. Running back.
Yeah, I mean, most people have him at top 5. Another one would be Kyren Williams, I think it is. Yeah, Notre Dame. I had him ranked RV4 in November, and then just totally kind of fell off the running back trail. When our running back started playing well, I was like, I don't think I'm really that bothered about a running back, especially not considering there's some that we can go later rounds, like Zonovan Knight, who I'd be like, you know what, that's fine. He's North Carolina State, so yeah, we know what we're getting.
I am actually like excited to watch the running backs at the combine, because somebody's going to outshine other running backs. Like, you're going to get someone come out of the blue and just look amazing, though.
Yeah, and that's what tends to happen, doesn't it? I mean, there's not that many running backs going to the combine, I don't think. Oh no, I'm totally wrong there. There's 36. So it's a fair amount. Isaiah Spiller will be around about running back 28 because it's done on alphabetical. Kenny Walker will be 31. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen in this week, which is why we're kind of doing these videos to show people who they can look at and what they can do. Yeah, I mean, our insight for what it's worth. I mean, that and a stamp, you might be able to post a letter.
Yep.
But thanks for joining us, guys. Give us some feedback, have a chat with us. If you're interested in coming on the show to put your opinions across, just get in touch with us and enjoy the combine. See you later.